In this exercise, we'll see how we load CMPR onto Windows. So first thing we want to do is bring ourselves to the CMPR website, and we'll do that in Firefox. Let's start Firefox. So where do we go for information about CMPR? Well, unfortunately there are a number of older websites at NIST and at CCP 14, which are not currently updated, and at some point I hope to get these off of the web, or at least have these point. The home page for information on CMPR is at this website right here. It's a rather long one, so I've also got a shorter version of the same website that you can type in. For people who are interested in downloading files directly from Subversion, you can access this web address right here. And then finally, if you're interested in the download files, you can access this website here. In general, I would recommend that you go to the home page, because you'll find instructions there for various platforms, and they'll also link to everything that's down below. The short one to type is tinyurl.com CMPR home, and that brings us to this rather long website, which is an HTTPS. Now along here you'll see that there's some information on where to find documentation. There's a link to distributions. If you're interested in staying in touch with what's going on with CMPR, there is a relatively low usage mailing list over here. The Subversion server is where we are right now. You can find out information about what's changed using the Subversion project tracking, but in this case what we're interested in is loading this on Windows. So the Windows installation notes are here, and this is worth reading, but basically it describes that there's two different ways that one can install CMPR. You can install it as a self-updating version, and there's two different ways to do that. The easy way is to download and run this file, which will do everything for us. However, the self-installing executable does not run for some computers, and I do not understand exactly which ones it will run on and which ones it won't. So we'll try doing it a slightly harder way, where we load from a zip file. You can also install the same codes using Tortoise SVN, which is a front end to the Subversion program that that can be used to work with the system. Tortoise SVN is a little bit more complicated, but if you're interested in learning how to do that, I recommend going to this site. Finally, if for some reason you are not interested in getting the updating CMPR release, or you're working in a place where you don't have access to the internet, or the access to Subversion is restricted, you'll have no choice, but you'll have to download this file. And the installation procedure with this file is pretty similar to what we're going to do. So let's start by downloading the zip file. Now what exactly happens at this stage will depend a little bit on what browser you use and so on. But we could either save the file and click on it, or actually in this case we can just open it. And if we do that without specifying what we're going to do, at least here, it opens it and brings the folder for CMPR. And if we look at what's inside of here, we see there's only at this moment a few files. Now before we can do anything else, we need to move this file from where it is right now, which is inside a zip directory, to someplace where we can work with it. So let's move it to My Documents. That's probably as good a place as any for working with it. And let's see, with luck that just copied it. I'm never quite sure what Windows is doing for me. So let's go to My Documents, and yes, indeed it did. So let's close up things here, and the instructions we'll be following would be right here. But so we've downloaded it, we've copied it. That's the step here. We've opened it, we copied it. Now we're going to click on the bootstrap.bat file in that directory that we've just created. So let's put this away, and we'll open that new folder. And here's the bootstrap.batch file. And let's just center this. Actually, while we're at it, make it a little smaller. It'll let us. There we go. Okay. And so let's run that. And it starts a DOS window. And if you look here, it's just changed to the C drive, which is where we were before, and it changed the starting directory to where we've put CMPR, and it says press any key to continue. So if we do that, now what it's doing is it's using Subversion to go grab the latest versions of the files and stick them onto our computer. Now it's grabbing the executable files specifically for Windows, and again putting them on our computer. And now finally it's going to go grab the absolute latest, the development version of the program, and stick that on the computer. So it tells us we have revision 426 loaded, and that the files have been loaded, and we can press return to start CMPR. So let's do that. Okay, and it actually worked. Now CMPR is a little bit big for this rather low resolution setting that we've got right now, but you can see it starts in a window where we can read files, and in the second window we can plot, and it has this ability to zoom in, and if you use the left mouse button and draw a rectangle, you zoom in. If you then use the right mouse button, you can scroll back out or zoom back out. One thing we might want to do with CMPR is make it easier to restart. Now let's close CMPR, and if we look at the folder that we saw a moment ago, now there's a lot more things in here. These are all the files that were downloaded. One file in particular is the Start CMPR batch file. So if we click on that, it will start CMPR for us. However, that's not necessarily where we want to have CMPR. So one thing we might want to do is to put this on the desktop. Now you can't, unfortunately, just simply drag it to the desktop like that. If you were to do that, CMPR would not start properly from that. We need to make a shortcut to that, and there are a couple ways of doing it. If we right-click on this, we bring up a menu, and let's see, create shortcut. So now we've created a shortcut to that. That shortcut can be moved to the desktop, and if we click on it, it starts CMPR. Not necessarily the most convenient name, and we might want to change a little bit about it. So let's first of all rename it. So again, right-clicking on it, and so I'll just select it first, right-click, and rename, and we might just call that CMPR. Okay, we probably would like to give it a different icon. So if we, again, right-click on it, let's try that again, right-click on it, go to Properties, we can see that we can do Change Icon. Okay, and it's telling us that the batch file doesn't have any icons, but it brings us to where we can pick out icons. You can pick one of these, or if you like to use the one that I've supplied, if we go to My Documents and CMPR, and you'll see there's one CMPR right there. Okay, so we've selected that, we've changed the icon. One other thing, although we'll see it when we do apply, it'll change the icon. There it goes. We can also change, if we want to, what directory we start in. So right now we start in the CMPR directory, which might not be the most appropriate place. You might have a place where you keep your data, and you might want to change that. For right now, I think this is fine, so we'll leave it like that. The other thing you might want to do is you might want to put this in your Start menu. So again, now if we right-click on the Start menu, we can use Open. And that brings up Programs. And just to show you, when we do Start, you see Programs, and if we click on this, we'll see not all of the programs that are listed there, because some come from the system, but we can create a new folder here. So if we simply click with, again, the right mouse button, New Folder, and we'll call that folder CMPR. And if we bring this over here, that's going to move it off of the desktop, so that's not what we want to do. Let's see, Control C and then Control V, that makes a copy of the icon. So now we have, when we close this, we have a Start menu, Compare, and there's the Compare program. Okay, and we can start it either from the desktop, or we can start it from the Start menu.